What's up, plant junkies? Jody here for another plant video from plantjunkiecreations.com. Today I'm going to be going over the basic plant care for this beautiful Hoya known as the super silver Krohniana, as well as the black version. I'm going to be repotting these and show you how to propagate yourself. The light requirement for this plant will tolerate medium to bright and direct light that thrives best in that bright and direct light. They do really well under LED grow lights, which makes for an easy propagation, as well as that eastern exposure sunlight. The water requirement for this plant really all just depends on what size of pot you're using and what type of pot you're using, as well as what type of medium you're using. I have a very well draining mix here, so it's kind of hard to tell when you water, right? But for all of these plants that I have in front of me that you'll see in a bit, I water on a 10 to 14 day cycle. Sometimes I'll push it out. These plants can tolerate some droughtness. They don't like being soaked, and they like well airflow, and they love humidity. Hopefully that wasn't too much for you. But some signs that I follow is I feel kind of how heavy the pot is. This is kind of a heavy pot right here. It's a hydrated pot. I can tell by looking at the leaves. You see how succulent like they are in nature. You see how shiny and plump and just healthy looking. If you look underneath, they're just very plump, opposed to a plant that it needs to be watered. So when you're looking at this example here, you're noticing how flat, not plump, these leaves are. They're very soft and bendy. And then if you look underneath, right, that is your cue to water. When I start seeing the wrinkled leaves on this plant, that's when I'll give it a good watering. I'll just water it, and water it only once. The soil requirement for this plant really likes a well-draining epiphytic mix. This is an example of what I use and find very successful for these plants. So what I have here is some cocoa coir, some coconut husk, as well as sphagnum moss, perlite, charcoal, pine bark, and tree fern. The fertilizer requirement for this plant, you typically want to fertilize 2 times a month during the growing season. So when you see new growth emerging, or if you start seeing peduncles forming, that would be a great time to fertilize. Hoyas in general don't need a whole lot of fertilizer. So per the instructions, cut that in half, or maybe even just use a quarter. What I like to use is Gringo Rasta Rise Up, and I like to use Orchid Bloom. Okay guys, so now it's time to learn how to propagate this plant. But before I get into that, I just wanted to show off one of my propagations that has been propagating for a while and is a product that I sell at my shop, the silver version as well as the black version. So I have them in terracotta pots, but as you notice, I have some long aerial roots, and same with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be chopping these and showing you guys how to propagate and combining both the silver and the black version in this pot for my shop. So if you guys are interested, you can visit my online plant shop at plantjunkiecreations.com. Hit that favorite button to receive updates on new arrivals, and you will be seeing this plant there shortly. So I have this super silver Krohniana that has been sitting in a prop box on top of sphagnum moss to add some humidity. Well, it's developed these aerial roots and is just reaching for the moisture. So this pot is moist here, so the roots are reaching down and attaching itself to the pot here. My main concern is it's covered in this sphagnum moss, but this is a root that has grown out the bottom. So since the moisture has been sitting at the bottom of the pot, that's where the roots are growing towards. So I am going to repot this bad boy into a lengthier, same circumference terracotta pot. Then I also wanted to repot my black version of the Krohniana simply because I have a naked spot here. I'm going to be adding are some propagations I have made. I'm going to take a couple of them and just add it to the naked spot here and repot it into this pot. If you enjoyed the content of this video, hit that like button. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy watching videos like this.